Hello, everybody, and today in our enjoying great books series, we have a theory of human motivation by the great A.H. Maslow. Maslow's needs, self-actualization need, has become almost like a the greatest concept, and people use it so regularly. It has come into their language actually, like lateral thinking by Edward de Bono. So such a simple book, 47 pages. We start. And again, as promised, we'll have only 5 minutes. We'll savor each word, each line. We'll enjoy the book. Our primary purpose is to enjoy the book. First, introduction. In a previous paper, various propositions were presented which have to be included in any theory of human motivation that could lay claim to be definitive. This is about theory of human motivation. How do we get motivated? It's very important. These conclusions may be briefly summarized as follows. What motivates us? One, the integrated wholeness of the organism must be one of the foundation stones of motivation theory. The integrated wholeness, all aspects of the organism, the human being, must be one of the foundation stones of motivation theory. Second, the hunger drive or any other physiological drive was rejected as a centering point or model for a definitive theory of motivation. Any drive that is somatically based and localizable was shown to be atypical rather than typical in human motivation. Like we are assuming that it is not food. Three, such a theory should stress and center itself upon ultimate or basic goals rather than partial or superficial ones, upon ends. For what? Then means process to these ends. Such a stress would imply a more central place, a more central place, a psychology book, for the unconscious than for conscious motivations. Central place for the unconscious than for conscious motivations. 4. There are usually available various cultural paths to the same goal. Therefore, conscious, specific, local cultural desires are not as fundamental in motivation theory as the more basic unconscious goals. Get his understanding of the word unconscious. Read it word by word carefully. Any motivated behavior, either preparatory or consummatory, preparatory, preparing, and consummatory, fulfill, must be understood to be a channel through which many basic needs may be simultaneously expressed or satisfied. Typically, an act has more than one motivation. Sixth, practically all organismic states are to be understood as motivated and as motivating. I repeat, practically all organismic states are to be understood as motivated and as motivating. It's an end in itself and a means to an end. 7. Human needs arrange themselves in hierarchies of prepotency. This was his main theory. That is to say, the appearance of one need usually rests on the prior satisfaction of another more prepotent need. Prepotent. Man is a perpetually wanting animal. That's lovely, no? Also, no need or drive can be treated as if it were isolated or discrete. Every drive is related to the state of satisfaction or dissatisfaction of other drives. Right? So it can't be one side. Suppose you have 4 or 5 drives, you can't satisfy one need and the other needs dissatisfied. This is very common. Very true. Definitely. 8. List of drives will get us nowhere for various theoretical and practical reasons. Furthermore, any classification of motivations must deal with the problem of levels of specificity or generalization, the motives to be classified. Ninth, classification of motivations must be based upon goals rather than upon instigating drives or motivated behavior. It's not to instigate, to fire up somebody. The classification of motivation must be based upon goals. For what? The whole point is that only. His whole book is that. The whole book is A theory of human motivation. He talks about needs, really. And he says once you satisfy these needs, you are fully satisfied as a human being. Otherwise, you're not. Anyway, we have covered 5 minutes. We'll stop here. I think there's a lot to chew. I myself am feeling it. Though I have read this book, I feel like every time you read a book, by the way, a great classic book, you again feel the depth of it, actually. I use a word called infinitude. It's my personal opinion. Every book is so deep, such great books, that you can't measure it. They're infinity. So you just enjoy it. You just feel its music. I hope you enjoyed Maslow's writings, though he listed it out as a depth, right? This is the difference between a classic book and an ordinary book, which is actually a cut and paste of classic books. Okay, thank you so much.